Hello everyone! I am so sorry I'm late. I am still getting things fixed. So I need to fix my light really quick. I think I probably have enough light actually. I don't know if I have to do that, but I'm gonna get my chair, get all my stuff together. And let's see. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll be right there. I'm gonna let everybody join. See. Okay. Oh, it has been a busy morning. Ooh, I have been busy getting hooks ready for release. So we did meet our March deadline of getting some new hooks ready this month to release to you guys. I will give you guys a sneak peek. Let's see if I can get one of these for you. So these are our Cosmos collection. So this is going to be the fourth hook in our Cosmos collection. And the special thing about the Cosmos hooks is that we use color changing mica powder. So there's like a really, really cool depth to like the shift of the color change. And in the sunlight, the sparkle is like unreal. So it's going to be harder to tell on here. But this is one of our new Cosmos hooks. And it is a deep, deep gold coppery base with some green tones in there. So if you're into like the forest core kind of thing, this is right up your alley. So gold, copper, and green are the base for those hooks. But super excited about these. These are ready to go. So if you want to check them out, you can check out our Etsy shop. And shop the new collections. We're super excited. And we do have a few, actually quite a few. I think we have like 14 of the hybrids in different sizes. So we've been printing mostly our top selling sizes. So like this is a 5.5 millimeter tapered hook. And then we do have a couple. So if you guys can see the difference, if it's listed as a boy hook, it's just going to be, you know, obviously a boy hook. But if it just says tapered, so this is more of a generic tapered style hook. So these are both 10 millimeter hooks, but you guys can see there is quite a difference between the boy tapered and the generic tapered. So I do have those specifically listed in the Etsy shop as either tapered or boy. So you can choose which one you want. Okay, so down to business. Today is Pink Sheep and Friends Friday, and I'm super excited. Let's see. Yes, so we have got Jessica of Making Things Naughty joining me today, and this was a last minute Pink Sheep and Friends because I realized that me and Jessica share the same birthday. So I was like, well, that's really cool, and that's a perfect reason for her to come on and join me this Friday so that we can chat about her maker journey and what she's been up to, because I have to tell you guys, I think that, and I'm going to move this down a little bit so I can actually sit down. So I'm just standing here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I think I'm going to have to move that down even more. And if this is your first time joining me, my name is Evelyn of Pink Sheep Design. I'm the designer and maker and crocheter and creator behind Pink Sheep Design. And every Friday, well, lately it hasn't been every Friday, but most Fridays I go live at 12 p.m. Central Time and I have a guest. And the guests are people from within the crochet community, the knitting community, the fiber world. So pretty much the fiber arts community. And sometimes it's last minute, sometimes it's pre-planned. It just depends on who I'm chatting with. And so let's see if she is here and if I can bring her on. Let's see. I was trying to make sure that everyone had plenty of time to, yes, there is Jessica. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so fingers crossed it works. Hey, Ellen. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Let's see. Hello, there you are. Hello. I turn my volume up. Okay, now I should be able to hear you really well. I'm great.
Awesome.
How are
How are you
you?
today?
Good. Oh, I see
Good.
lots of things up there behind you. Are those all crocheted things?
Yeah. Yeah, all stuff is
Yes, that's
crocheted.
amazing. So I really wanted to start off by saying that, I believe that one of the first posts of yours that I saw that caught my attention, because I'm not sure how long I've been following you. I feel like that happens now. I'm not sure how long I've been following anyone. But I know that I really started noticing they're boba teas, right? Is that the base? I
Yeah.
believe that was one of the ones that I
Hmm.
featured in one of my pattern roundups. Um, but I have to say, those and the little arm animals are just amazing.
Thank you.
And I feel like it's a niche.
Thank
And I
you.
feel like that's what most of the designers, you want to find like a niche and an item that, I don't want to say will go viral, but in a way will go viral because it's different from anything that's out there. And I feel like you've really done that with quite a few of your designs. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully they'll go
Well,
viral.
for anyone who does not know you or may not be following you here on Instagram, if you just want to do a short little who are you intro and let people know what you do and who you are.
Sure.
Oh,
I
you're
feel
good.
like I'm terrible at doing things like that. But so I've been crocheting for probably about 5 years or so, and I mostly did it as a way to
Gotcha.
get closer to my mom because she did it, and I actually take care of her now. So it was something for us
Yeah.
to share. So it's pretty cool. Um, and I just started like getting serious about pattern designing
Hmm.
probably about a year ago or less than a year ago, when I released my first boba designs. Beyond crochet, I also teach like yoga and art classes for kids. And what else do I do? I also tutor kids. I tutor reading. So I do a lot with kids. I really believe in like practicing mindfulness. And I think that's why crochet
Yeah.
really sucked me in. It's my Zen time. So
That's
I try to get as much of it as
awesome.
possible.
So I would have had no idea. Oh my gosh, I just slammed my desk into my table. Earthquake. Um, so I would have had no idea that you did yoga or taught yoga. I think that's amazing. I taught yoga for I don't know, like 2 years or 3 years when I was in the fitness
Oh,
industry, and I never got like an actual yoga certification. I had an overall fitness certification that allowed me to teach like basic yoga. But I loved that, and I loved teaching that, and I would teach. I think I just called it like stretch and flex because it was for people who I think were afraid of yoga, like the idea of doing yoga. And so it was pretty much like sneaky yoga. So it's like, we're not going to call it that, but you're going to come in and
that's
then you're going to
awesome.
realize that you want to take a yoga class.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think like with yoga and the yoga community, sadly, there's kind of this kind of barrier to get into it, and
Yes.
it can be very intimidating. So I think it's
Yep.
awesome that you
Yeah.
did it
And
that way.
and we had people at because most of the fitness classes that I taught, and pretty much looking back, all of them, I think, were at universities. So it was like a university rec center. So students and teachers and people like that. But it was there were a few very yoga instructors who've been doing it for a really long time and had like the 600 and 1,000 hour or however many, you go by the hours at that point, who were very,
Yeah.
very dedicated to doing it a very specific way. And I feel like it was kind of a good transition of like maybe you don't want to, maybe you just feel intimidated by going and taking that class. Like people would walk by, in a lot of these gyms, there's the glass windows. So you're walking by looking at people like in headstands, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to take that class.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like that's anything. I mean, that's crochet too. I feel like that's if someone has never crocheted before and they get into this community and they start following all of these people who are doing
in some cases, what just look to be difficult things. And maybe they're not that difficult, but like there's definitely that wall of like people who won't try their first wearable, or, you know, won't try amigurumi, or like they're just stuck in, I'm just going to make this because it feels easy. And I wanted to ask you about that with your patterns. Where do you feel like they fit on that scale of someone just learning? Do you feel like they need a little bit, or do you have different patterns that are different levels?
I think they're all actually pretty beginner friendly. The ones that do have tricky bits, I always put in
Awesome.
a bunch of photos, and I've started creating some
Nice.
video tutorials now too. So
Yeah.
hopefully, in my mind, I think they're pretty beginner friendly. You do need to know what the basic stitches are, like single crochet, you know, half double crochet. But beyond that, I kind of walk people through everything. So I think they're pretty easy to follow, pretty easy to jump
That's
in
awesome.
and
And
figure
you
things out.
have, so you said you started about a year ago, and what was your first pattern that you
Mhm.
released?
My first real pattern was a hamster
Oh,
amigurumi. I don't know if I have one here. I don't think I have one here. But yeah, so that was my first one. He has like a little optional strawberry cap
so cute.
or duck cap that you can put on him.
And what made you gravitate towards amigurumi? How did that start?
I think I'm just, you know, like a kid at heart. um, Kind of the same reason why I teach yoga for kids is I get to,
Yeah.
I use a lot of picture books. So it's like I'm always reading picture books and they're so fun. I love them. So with crochet, I
Yeah.
get to make stuffed
Yeah.
animals. And
Yeah.
what's better than that, right? So I think that's it. It just, you know, there are things that make me
Mhm.
happy because they're soft and squishy. And
Yeah.
I just want
Do
all of
you
them.
remember? So you said you picked up crochet really to have a connection with your mom. And do you remember what you
Hmm.
started out making, and what, like, the first time you saw an amigurumi that you were like, I think I'm going to start doing this? Like, what did you start off making, and then when did that transition happen?
Yeah, actually, I was looking for something for my mom to do, and I remembered that she crocheted. And we were at a
Hmm.
craft store, and I saw a kit to crochet like
Gotcha.
Disney princesses. And I was like, oh, she can try this. She can make one for my daughter. I have a 10-year-old girl, and it'll be great. So I gave that to her, and
Gotcha.
she just couldn't
Hmm.
do it. Like she couldn't understand the pattern, and she's more into like crocheting wearables and blankets and things like that. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this. So my first attempt
Hmm.
was like trying to make Ariel, and I did make the head. I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I got the head done. I should have that here with me, but I don't. It looked
Oh.
terrible. But after I made the head, I stopped and I went and bought different yarn because the
Yep.
yarn in the kit was very splitty. Um, and watched a lot of YouTube and kind of did it on my own and experimented on my own. And then I went back
Yeah.
to trying patterns again
Yeah.
and learning
Well,
through
it
patterns.
sounds like I feel like it's kind of a pattern how people who end up designing their own stuff almost immediately start out trying a pattern, not really enjoying the process of following the pattern to a T, and just start to wing it
Hmm.
immediately.
Yes. My first few amigurumi that I made, I totally just, you know, I did it
Yeah.
on my own, figured it out as I
Did
went.
you go ahead?
um, oh, no, go ahead. I was just gonna say they fell apart
Gotcha. Yeah.
eventually, but
Did Did you have any
yeah.
designers when you first started out that stand out in your head of people that either inspired you or had really great tutorials? Like if there were specific channels that helped you? I know for me, I still remember, and there's only really one person that I really specifically remember, but it's because it was one of my first patterns that I was like, okay, this can really work, and they had really good instructions, and it was actually all about Amy. and she does the amigurumi as well, but she had some glove patterns and some scarf patterns that really, like, it just stands out to me as someone that was part of that journey, and I'll always remember that because it was really helpful. And I don't know if you had anyone like that that you remember.
I wish that I did, but early on, my journey was just kind of crazy. I remember with amigurumi, you know, it's kind of important to be able to do the magic circle, and I struggled with that so much that I probably watched like hundreds of different videos. Yeah, so I can't really think of like one person.
Totally makes sense. I mean, I'm kind of surprised because I don't have a super good memory most of the time. So for me to have anyone that stood out specifically was surprising for me. But I feel like the people that are learning crochet now are so lucky to have such a vast number of videos, and not just about different, like, you know, one topic, like you can go find it, but there's so many ways to do the same thing.
That's true. I know when I meet people, when they ask me about how I learned and all of that, you know, I always tell them there are so many resources on YouTube. It's amazing. Like, that's basically how I learned, and it's really great.
Do you with most of your amigurumi now, do you use Magic Circle now for all of them when you're starting out?
Most of them, yeah. With the chunkier yarn, I do a lot of like the chain 2 and then working to the first chain instead of the Magic Circle.
Do you now use primarily the super bulky, or do you go back and forth?
I really don't like the thinner yarns anymore. Yes. I mean, for one, I mean, the bulky yarn is so like soft and huggable, right? But even just working with it, creating with it, it goes so much faster and more smoothly for me. Like the smaller, thinner yarn, it takes me twice as long to make things with.
Yeah, I think the smallest yarn that I have in my office now is a 3-weight, but the only reason I have it is because the company sent it to me for free, and I had to send them a message because I guess I just got put on like an affiliates list where they just sent new yarn out whenever it was released, and I had to send them a message and say, like, this is really nice of you, I'm really appreciative of it, but I feel like it's a waste if you send me thin yarn. Like, I'd rather you send that to someone else who's gonna, you know, appreciate it and use it to like the best of its abilities, you know, and really showcase it. Right. And they were really nice. Luckily, this company was really nice, and they were like, oh, we totally understand. We'll keep that in mind. You know, if we send you more yarn, we'll make sure that you have a note that like you only get sent the chunkier yarn. Because now I pretty much use it. If I use yarn that thin, I'm going to hold it doubled with like a faux fur, because usually that's a really great way to make it easier to work with faux fur, is to hold like a small strand of, you know, something else to give it more bulk to feel. But that's the only thing I'm going to use it for. So.
Right. Yeah, I feel that. I do. I mean, I have some crochet thread and I've done some micros before, and I mean, they're super cute, but it's definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, I can't remember right off the top of my head who it is. I have them on my list. We've already reached out, and I'm going to have her come on to one of these chats as well. But she does the like super micro, like literally using embroidery thread, you know, to make the little amigurumis. And I'm like, I mean, I would have to do it under a microscope. I mean, like, I'd need like a, you know, it's not a microscope, it's the eyeglass thing, you know what I'm talking about? Yes, the magnifying glass. I can't even think of the word. But I'd have to have that set up and be working under that, and then I have a feeling it would give me the worst headache, because I struggle to even, like, I know for me, if I'm filming a video, I can't watch myself on the video filming the video, or I get like vertigo, I guess, would be kind of car sickness kind of feeling. It's no good.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you said
I feel
you
that
are
too.
filming videos now. Are you putting them on YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel? Awesome.
I do.
Okay, so I will let anyone who's watching now, because usually these videos stay on my Instagram channel, but I know it's not the easiest to like bookmark and rewatch stuff on Instagram. So I do upload them to YouTube,
Mhm.
and I will be able to tag you. So now YouTube lets you tag other channels, so I'll be able to tag you on YouTube. And so anyone who wants to check out our YouTube channel, you'll be able to click on that or go in the description of the YouTube video and go straight to your YouTube channel. So that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome.
so I think it's really funny. You mentioned this when I reached out about the fact that we share the same birthday, which is crazy. So happy late birthday.
Yes, happy
But
birthday
you
to you
said
too.
something about, I think that's why we like both like super bulky yarn. There's something about being born. I think it's probably in the month. I would love to know if anyone is watching this and was born in March and likes super chunky yarn. Um, but do you have, I really like, I don't get to talk as much about like the super bulky yarn with other people, because most people really tend to gravitate towards like the worsted weight and maybe into bulky. But when I ask people like their go-to size, it's usually kind of the worsted weight arena. But I would love to know what
Hmm.
some of your favorite super bulky yarns have been that you've used.
Hmm. Well, right now I use a
Hmm.
lot of burlap blanket yarn for my amigurumi, and then I also use it's not as bulky, but Premier
Hmm.
Parfait Chunky. I mean, I like the Parfait Chunky because it's
Yes.
still got that soft squishy factor, but the size isn't so big, because sometimes you don't want huge, like with my arm pets, I don't want these huge,
Yes.
you know, creations. Um, but I like Bernat Blanket the best because it's bulky and soft, but it's
Yes.
also very sturdy. So I think for
Yep.
amigurumi, it
Yep.
works really well.
I also don't feel
Yeah.
like Bernat blanket. Now it does depend on the yarn. I mean, I've bought some Bernat blanket that actually feels even chunkier. Specifically, and I don't know if you've used it. Let me see if I've got some. Yeah, I think it's right here. I'll show you. So this in particular, ooh, and I really, really do like these. I got one in almost every color, but it's the Baby Sparkle. So
Oh
it does
yeah,
have
I
a little
love the
bit, it's really
sparkle
hard to tell
ones.
on here, but it does have some sparkle to it. Um, but this feels thicker to me. So when I use this, it feels thicker than just like the regular Bernat yarn. But
Hmm.
I've also noticed that for the most part, this is better about not the ends not falling apart. And I don't know if you've had, now some of them do, some of them it's just like bad luck. And I don't know if it's the color or the dye or
Hmm.
if something makes it more difficult. But for the most part, it's a lot easier to deal with than like the parfait style yarn, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I have noticed, like with Bernat Blanket,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of variation with different colors and the different types that they have. So
Mm-hmm.
some are thicker than
Mm-hmm.
others, and some are softer than others. And so it's something you have to watch for when you're
Yeah, well, and
releasing them in your
especially if
designs.
you can't, like if so, and that was another question I had for you. Do you prefer to try to shop in store or do you mainly buy things online?
I like to go to the store for yarn, definitely,
What are
so I
your
can touch it.
closest yarn stores? Do you happen to have a lot of them near you, or do you have just like one that's close by that you can go to?
I have like
Hmm.
the big
Hmm.
box, the major stores, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's. Typically, I go to
You have
Joann's
a
for the
lot.
blanket yarn because they
Yeah.
have the best selection.
Yep.
Yeah, they have all the colors,
And I
so
was
that's usually
going
where
to
I
tell
go.
you, Hobby Lobby. So I've never really had a Hobby Lobby super close to me until I moved where I am now. And I have two that are pretty close. And I still don't go there that often because it was out of habit. Like I didn't have one, so I didn't go. But I had someone tell me I really wanted to try Lion Brand yarn Lazy Days, I think is what it's called. So it's a chain structure yarn, kind of like Bernat Maker, the Home Deck Maker yarn, but it's one size smaller, so it is a 4, but it recommends the same size hook as Bernat Maker Home Deck. So I have a feeling it's probably a little bit bigger than a regular 4, so I was like, I want to give it a try. Someone said Hobby Lobby had it on their clearance, and so I was like, I might as well go check it out. Now, of course, they didn't have what I needed, but they had, it was the tie-dye-esque Bernat, the blanket yarn that was like the tie-dye. So it was like, or ombre. It was like a purple ombre and a blue ombre and a green ombre. And they were like $4 a piece. So if they still have their clearance, you can check it out, because they had a lot of Bernat blanket yarn for like less than half of what it would regularly be. So worth checking out for sure.
Yeah.
But do you have, so I don't use a lot of, I use more than I used to, but I didn't used to use a lot of Bernat blanket, and I didn't use a lot of the Chanel style, so like the parfait chunky and all of that. Do you have tips and tricks that you've used, especially to deal with the ends of the yarn? So are there special things you've tried or done? Because, you know, sometimes the ends just fall apart, and I don't know if you've found things that are helpful.
What I do, I know there are some people who they recommend like burning the
really
edge,
nervous.
you know, with the lighter, but I don't like fire. And
I feel
will
like
not light a
it's
lighter,
going to be
so
like
that's
the
just not
dynamite.
for me.
So like I light one and it just goes down and blows up the whole project.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it. But I always leave an extra long tail when I work with that kind of yarn. That way, if I do get one that starts to fray on the edge, usually you can just snip a little bit off, and then you kind of get it under control, and you can keep going. So that's the only thing I've found that really works for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other
I had
methods.
one person, now I haven't been able to use this method because I make wearables, so I can't really hide the end very easily. Usually for me, I'll try to either hold it double, so that way I have something to tie it to itself. So if I use like the Premier Parfait regular chunky, I can double it up and use like a 16mm hook and make a cardigan or something. Or blanket yarn, so then I can tie it to itself. But I had someone tell me once that they wrap a little piece of just like regular tape around the end, because they make amigurumi, and you can stuff that down in the end and can kind of like hold the end together. So I was like, that was really interesting, but I wouldn't have anywhere to hide the tape on a garment.
Yeah.
Definitely an amigurumi trick.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
So I would love to know what made you think of the arm, like what led to that? Because I think those are like the cutest things I've ever seen. And you have a bunch now that like hold on to your arm, right? Yeah.
I have my daughter to thank for that. So I was gonna make her I made her a chameleon. So it's from Foxden Mom Life, and she has a cute no-sew chameleon. And so I made her one of those, and I was asking her about colors, and she gave me her colors, and I was like, I want to wear it.
Of course you do.
I was like, okay, how can we make this wearable? Right. Yeah, so I adjusted that design a little bit and gave it some long legs so that she could tie it around her arm and wear it. And so from there, you know, a lot of people were telling me, oh, okay, you could probably do this animal or that animal like that. And I was like, yeah, I should. So I just started making them, and I actually changed the design not too long ago to where you can use elastic hair ties instead of making long legs. Yeah. So it's a little easier.
Do you have one that you can show? Yes.
I do. Here, you can do one of my new ones. So here's one of my
It's so cute.
kitty pets. I have wings on this one,
It's
so it's a fairy cat.
cute.
And then it's got the
Yeah.
hair ties.
And those are like the
to the
chunky
legs down
hair
here, so
ties.
you can wear it.
They're softer.
Yeah, I like to use the thicker ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're more
Oh my God, it's
comfortable.
adorable. Oh, I love it. And so what yarn did you use for that? Because that's like super rainbow looking.
Yeah, so this is I don't even know what it's called. I found it on Amazon
Uh-huh.
because I've seen some other makers use it, and it's actually very thin.
Gotcha.
So I had to double it
Yeah.
up to get the size like this.
Mhm.
But it's a chenille, and I love it. I love the colors,
Yeah.
but I wish it were thicker.
That's kind of like Hobie's Baby Snuggle. So that's one that's also a Chanel. I'll show you. Got one. Oh, I actually have one. Still got the wrapper on it. I haven't caked it yet. But it says it is a super bulky. But to me, I mean, I think wraps per inch wise, they can get away with calling it that. It's really, really soft. But I feel like if I use it for anything that I would usually use super bulky, I have to double it up. But they've got a lot of colors, so that's another really nice one. That's really, really soft.
That's
yes,
on my list to
that
try.
one.
I haven't tried that one yet.
From what I've heard, Honey Bunny is like exactly the same. I thought it would be like much bigger or much smaller, but it sounds like they've just got different colors, but it's very, very similar in size. So I need to try it just to make sure I can see the true comparison. But I was asking someone.
They have a
I
honey bunny.
know it's on my list. What is the biggest amigurumi so far that you've made?
Oh, biggest. I actually have I haven't done any of those like super huge ones, but I can pull it out here. I did one of the Crafty Intentions dragons in Bernat Blanket. And so, I mean, her patterns are already pretty big. So, but in Bernat Blanket, it ended up like,
it's so good. I love it. And so can we see the eyes on it? Because did you have eyes on the other one too? Yeah. Oh, wow. Those are so cool.
These are actually from Amazon.
And did you have little eyes on the little cat that you showed us? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So where is your favorite place to get eyes from?
So I do have, I like to do like mystery packs. So I've gotten mystery packs from like Suncatcher Craft Eyes. I love those. I've ordered some from Nerdy Knits. She has like mystery packs. And then I'm actually preparing for a market, so I just needed a bunch of eyes. And so I ordered a bunch off of AliExpress. And that's where my cat eyes came
How
from.
has your luck been ordering off of AliExpress? Because I think a lot of people think about it, but then don't. Do you have tips for anyone, or is there anything you found that, you would advise people if they're trying to order from there?
So far, I've had really a great experience. I've only ordered a few times, and I always make sure that there are at least a couple of reviews. But other than that, I just take a chance on it, and so far it's been fine.
Oh, good.
And the quality's been
really good
so far too.
What are your favorite websites? If you have to order yarn, what are your favorite websites that you tend to order from?
Typically, I gravitate towards Joann's.
Yep.
They have great deals, and they have all my blanket yarn. I have ordered from Hobie a lot in the past, and that's always been a great experience. And that's kind of all I've done online, because I do like to go in person and check the yarn out.
So you said that you use the Parfait. Do you have to order that from Premier?
Oh, that, yeah.
And have
That
you
one I do have to order from
tried
Toya.
any of the
Yeah.
Michaels yarn? Because I've heard that that's comparable. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now, but it's similar.
I think it's called
I think so too.
Sweet Snuggles. I
Okay.
haven't tried it yet. It's on my list, but my only problem with that is my Michaels has a
Yeah.
very small selection of yarn, sadly. So usually when I go,
Yeah.
they don't have very many
Yeah.
colors.
I think it's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing for me. But now that I have decided that all my stuff's going to be brightly colored, I feel like sometimes I miss out because there'll be like this beautiful new yarn or something I really want to try, but then all they have is like blush pink and gray and sea blue and like just colors that are very earthy and down tempo and I'm looking for like the retro brights and the really colorful things and
Hmm.
but the good thing is it keeps me from buying way more yarn than I need because it's easier to say no.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
That's a good point.
it's been a little helpful, and especially now, I have less room for yarn, so it's like, I'm trying to get rid of things before I put new things in the house, which
Hmm.
sometimes works. I might have a
Hmm.
few bags from Hobby Lobby, the clearance that are sitting in the guest room because there's nowhere to put them. Uh, just need more under bed storage. That's what I need. Or shelves like you. I
Yes,
love the
exactly.
shelf
I need
behind you.
a
That's awesome.
oh, thanks. Yeah, I've got that with some of my makes on it, and
Yeah.
then I have another big shelf with all my
So
yarn in it.
you do markets. I would love to know how long have you been doing markets and what has that experience been like for you?
Markets are new for me. So I started
Mhm.
probably at the end of last summer, and I only did like small, like I did my local farmers market, which is really small, and then a couple of kind of school events and things like that. But
Mhm.
they're always a lot of fun. It's really fun talking to the people that stop by. Some of them I've
Mhm.
done really well at. It just
Yeah.
depends on the traffic. Like if people
Yes.
come, they're going to buy things. So it's been pretty good. I have a mini
Oh
claw
my
machine that I use at my markets
That's
that I make tiny
amazing.
amigurumi and I
Yes.
ship those in there. Yeah, so that draws a lot of people over. Even the
So
parents love it.
and with the claw machine, because I
Um,
mean claw machines are known for you not getting anything. Is this one that really does it makes it easier to actually get something or is it okay? Yeah,
yeah, it's a toy. So
good.
you're pretty
Cool.
much gonna
That's
get something every
awesome.
time you try. Yeah, yeah. And this summer coming up, actually, I'm doing my
Mhm.
local Renaissance fair, so
Ooh.
that's going to be a really
Oh
big
my
event,
gosh. I can
sitting
only
at the
imagine
top.
kids at the Renaissance Fair
And
wanting
then,
pets on their arm.
yes, I'm making
Yes,
tons of dragon
that's
pets.
amazing. So, what has been so far, what has been your best sellers at your shows that you've gone to?
Um,
Hmm.
Everybody loves Pokemon, so anything Pokemon sells really fast. And then my bobas
That's
actually
cool.
have been doing really well. So I have just simple like what's my other
Hmm.
one? Cat and frog bobas, and then also the character
Hmm.
bobas, like the nightmare bobas,
Yeah,
Oogie Boogie boba. That I,
yeah,
those
yeah.
go
That's
so
really
fast.
cool. Um, what has been your best-selling pattern so far? Now that you're really because you've got quite a few patterns out right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So far, my bestseller is actually one of my
Yes.
more recent ones, the Dragon Pet. So
Yeah.
probably
Well,
not
and I think
surprising.
I've definitely noticed, I know for me, I have a few patterns that have just been very consistent. Um, but I remember it was when I released and I think you made one. It was the Wonderland hood. Did you make one of those? Yes,
Yes, I did
that
make one. Yes.
pattern.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened, but I released that pattern and it outstripped any of the lifetime sales of any of the patterns I've had out for, 2-3 years now. And it sold more than like how many I'd sold over the lifetime of some of those older patterns. It just blew my mind because, I've had pattern days where I release a pattern and I might sell one. I mean, it happens, I think it happens to everybody where you're like, I really thought this was going to do really well. And that, that one just went crazy. I mean, I won't say viral because, I mean, I didn't see a lot of people, there weren't a ton of people like making it and tagging me. There were a few people, and I specifically remembered yours. But for some reason, people wanted that pattern, and it was very surprising.
Well, it's just so warm and cozy. How can you?
Well, and I wondered too, do you make any wearable type items aside from the pets for craft shows, or is it all mostly the amigurumi and the wearable pets and those kinds of things?
For my craft shows, yeah,
Gotcha.
it's mostly just the amigurumi. I don't, for some reason, I get very bored easily making other items. Your patterns are different because of the chunky weight. They work up really fast, so they're perfect for me. So I love those. But for the most part, I tend to stay away from anything that's not amigurumi.
I think that's for a lot of the same reason. I know for me, when I did craft shows, it was all chunky. It was wearables, but it was all, the smallest hook that I used was my 10 millimeter, and that was for my little cat cozies that went around the little coffees, and they had the little ears, and which surprisingly were the most weirdly popular thing because, not everybody likes cats, but there were people who like didn't have cats, didn't like cats that bought these cat cozies just because they were weird and different. But everything I made was chunky because like you said, I didn't want to get bored. I wanted to be able to jump, even if I was making the same thing over and over again, it was a different color or it was a different type of yarn or it was something that like kept my attention and I could make one in less than an hour, if I was making like a hat or, and actually I would love to know, so when you're making some of your amigurumis, especially the smaller ones, how long does it usually take you?
It depends. Like my pet patterns usually just
That's
take me
so
about an hour
cool.
to make. Those are pretty fast. Yeah. And then my bobas can take maybe like 3 hours or so. But they're pretty simple. They're just a little
What
bigger.
is probably the most complicated thing that you make regularly?
Regularly. I don't think I have any complicated things that I make regularly. I like to stick to simpler patterns. I'm obsessed with that Crafty Intentions pattern, the dragon that I showed you. I've made 10 of those.
Yes.
Which is very rare for me. So yeah, that one I really love. I mean, all of her patterns are great, but that one, I
do
made
those,
a bunch of.
because I noticed because it's bigger, would it like fit around your neck?
It could. The blanket one that I made is a little bit too bulky for that. But I do like I've made some in the Bernat baby velvet, so they're smaller, and those are really nice because those can like sit on your shoulder. Yeah, and I have one that I made for my daughter in like the same weight, but it's a sea dragon, so it's longer.
And I'm literally thinking that same, go like you said, you're going to the Renaissance Festival, and I was like, I'm trying to think how people would want to like take things with them.
Yes. We usually we go there every year, and my daughter always wears her dragon around her neck, and so people always comment on it and compliment it, and you're like, hey, you should set up a shop here. And so this past year,
and
like,
this will be your first year being a vendor. That's so exciting. Oh, I can't. You have to take pictures.
Exciting and scary. Oh yeah, definitely.
So, because we share the same birthday, I would love to know, what did you do anything fun for your birthday?
Well,
I know, right? And I didn't know if you were doing anything like this weekend, or if you're, if you celebrated on a different day.
Well, Wednesday I did order Indian food for dinner, which was so good. And this weekend, I'm not sure. We have our kids with us this weekend, me and my boyfriend, and so we're talking
That'll be
about
really
doing some things
fun.
with them.
Yeah.
You know, fun kid stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
just family
Yeah,
activities.
I know. My husband, he says well, we did buy an RV. So I was like, I really don't want to do anything crazy because like that's more than a gift enough for us to, have fun and go do things for this year and hopefully for a long time. But I told him on my birthday because I was just in here working, And he was like, do you want to do anything? I was like, let's just go get some ice cream. Like, that's perfect, like just doing something simple. And I definitely don't have to have like crazy birthday party or anything like that. It's nice to just, spend time with family, like you said. That's special.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think after I hit like 25, I was done with the parties.
And I think, the milestones can be fun. I know because we don't usually do anything big for my husband's birthday. And a lot of it was we didn't live near family, and we've never been the type to have a ton of friends, especially not that live close, not that could come, here. So this year we're back in Alabama, which is where all of our, older friends and family are. And he turned 40 this year. So I said, we have to do something, because we haven't had a big party or anything. So we had like a bonfire for him and, invited family, and it was still relaxed. I got some barbecue, and but it was out on his cousin's farm. So we had a bonfire at the farm and had a lot of people, but that's like the biggest birthday we've had for him that I can remember, Yeah.
That sounds amazing, though. That's the kind of party
Exactly. Just low key, but fun. And, thankfully the weather held up because we were like, we have no backup plan. There's literally a barn we can all huddle in if it rains. So we just crossed our fingers, hope for the best.
Yeah.
Wow.
Glad it worked out.
That's nice. Well, we have 10 more minutes. And I wanted to, I've already done quite a few of like the rapid fire questions, but I would love to know, what is your go-to hook size when you're using the super bulky yarn for your projects?
I usually like to use an 8.
Yes.
8mm.
And that's, I just now, so when we started making our hooks, we were only making down to a 10. We had a lot of people asking us to go lower and lower, and 8mm is now the lowest we go. I don't think we'll ever go any lower unless it's the hybrid hooks. But now that we make the 8mm, I've started actually making things with them, and it's a good size. It's a good hook size.
Yeah, it definitely depends on,
Yes.
the yarn that you're
Do
working
you
with.
have favorite hooks? Yeah. Because I feel like 8mm, anything above that kind of 5-6 range, you really start to lose out on the plethora of options, I think. As the hooks get bigger, you don't have as many options. So do you have go-to brands that you like, or like a favorite hook that you tend to gravitate towards?
For those hooks, I usually
Gotcha.
use
And they have an 8?
Which is yes, they do have an 8. When they get that big,
That's what I was going to ask.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I usually don't like that, but with the Bernat and the chunkier yarns, it's fine. The plastic works fine.
Yeah, I've had some people who can't do, and I'm not sure if it's the plastic, but is it the plastic that causes it to be kind of squeaky? Is that what happens, or it just feels different?
It could cause it to be squeaky. I haven't noticed it with the like Bernat yarn, but if I'm working with like worsted weight yarn, it's really squeaky and I can't stand it.
It's definitely a different feeling. I know. I'm glad that we started trying, because originally I wasn't interested in making handles for hooks. We were just making the full, 3D printed crochet hook. But I'm kind of glad now that we've gotten into it, because now if I am using an 8mm, and like you said, sometimes one hook might feel weird and I want to switch to a metal. And so now I have the option now, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yes. Yeah. And
Options are
I don't know,
good.
have you ever tried the prim hooks? Because I've heard they go up to the higher sizes as well. I don't know if you've ever tried those. Okay.
I have
I'm going
not
to have
tried
to do
those
some
yet.
market research. I've been wanting to try those. Have you tried furls? Because that's another big one. Do you have any furls hooks?
No, I haven't tried that, but they're a
They
little
are,
out of
yes,
my price
they are
range.
pricier. They have I feel like when they released their the all the streamlines. So I had, before we started making our
Hmm.
hooks, I had a 10mm Galaxy streamline that I used all the time. And that's really, for me, and I know it depends on the person, but the ergonomic size of the handles matters. So like some people need a bigger
Hmm.
handle and that fits them better. But for me, if the handle's that big, it hurts me. I need like a smaller ergonomic handle.
Hmm. Yeah, and I feel like I do the
Yes.
same because my hands are pretty small. So I can't
Yeah.
imagine working with,
Yeah.
a
And
bigger handle like
they're
that
out there. I
really.
mean, I don't know if you've seen, like, they've got there's the thing you can buy that's like this big, like, tube looking thing to put on your hooks. And I was like, there's no way.
Yes.
There's no way that
Hmm.
would work for me. Have you
Yeah.
ever tried turning your handles ergonomic? Have you ever used any like DIY techniques to make your handles more ergonomic, or have you just used them as is?
I did
Gotcha.
do like my own clay
That's
handle
cool.
for one of my hooks
Yeah.
once because I just had the metal hook. Yeah, so I used polymer
Yeah.
clay and mixed some colors together and kind of shaped it because when you're doing it yourself, you
Mhm.
can kind of shape it to your own grip, which was cool.
That's really
Yeah, so
neat.
that was
That's
fun.
so much cooler. I'll show
That was
you
fun.
my DIY. See if I can. Oh yeah, I still have it. I was like, I can't get rid of it because this hook got me through. Both of these got me through craft shows back when I was, you know, pulling all-nighters. And I'm sure you have probably done that when you've got a show coming up and you stay up way too late, crocheting
Yeah.
way too long. Um,
I have a feeling I'm
mhm.
not going to sleep at all during April, so.
So this lovely creation is
Oh,
just
wow.
kitchen. It's the kitchen drawer liner. And there's a rubber band holding it in
Okay.
place. You can see the lovely rubber band holding it down.
Nice.
So there's that
Yeah.
one. And then I did the same thing with this one, but I covered it in, it was actually material from an old tank top, maybe, that had gotten so old that it was just stretched out. So that is that lovely
Mm-hmm.
creation. And this one was actually too big. So after a while,
Fancy.
it was just way too big for my hand. So this one looked like this,
Mm-hmm.
but I took more of it off so that it would be smaller. And I think this is probably a
Mm-hmm.
12mm, maybe. It's at a 10 and a 12. Um, but the things we do for
Mm-hmm.
comfort.
Yeah.
The polymer clay sounds much more
Gotta
awesome
get creative.
than kitchen liner.
I was so nervous though because you have to bake it. I was like, I'm putting this hook in the
How
oven.
did
I
that
don't know about
go?
this,
Did it?
but it worked out.
Okay.
It was fine. I don't
Well,
know. I was watching
like
it.
you
I
said,
kept an
it's
eye on
the
it.
whole like fire scenario of I really don't want, this is not worth burning my house down.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
so Crochet on Commission asked, I have a dog who likes to lay down on my yarn stash. I want to make him a bed, but I don't want to give him expensive yarn. Is there a good, cheap, durable yarn I can make him a rug/bed? So my opinion on that would be to go to like Walmart and buy the Walmart brand acrylic yarn and hold it multi-stranded. So like buy yourself just the cheap acrylic yarn from Walmart. They even have their own brand now that's just plain worsted weight acrylic. And you could hold like 4 or 5 or 6 strands together if you want it super chunky. But depending on the hooks that you have. So if you've only got the smaller hooks, you could maybe double strand it, triple strand it, quadruple strand it, and that might be it. But that's what I would use because that's going to be the cheapest option out there. So, yeah.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
would go as bulky as possible so it'd be
Yes.
faster
Yeah.
than
And
me.
I think So for me, 4 strands of a 4 weight is going to be pretty close to a super bulky, like a 6 weight yarn, depending on the yarn. So you could go with like one of those 15, I think they call it a 15.75. So in that range, between a 15 and a 16 millimeter hook. Should be doable for that. You could throw in a 5th strand if you had to, so that it wouldn't be like super loose. But that would probably work up pretty fast. So, yeah. I need to still do, I've been wanting to buy some of that. What is it? Is it Red Heart? It's the Super Saver, but it's like the brights. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like neon colors. Yeah.
The retro stripe. The retro stripe.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I've never
love that
used
yarn.
it.
I mean,
So
I wish it were bulky,
I want to
but
I need to make one of my wearables. Like I need to choose like a cardigan or a hoodie or something. And I need to do it like triple or quadruple stranded so people can see what that would look like. Because I know it's a super popular yarn. And I think it would be fun to see how that would work up if you held it, you know, multiple stranded. Oh, and yes, a great stash buster. Exactly. So if you have yarn in your stash, just hold it strand. And that's, I'll show you guys. I haven't announced this yet, but this is about to be ready for, it's ready for testing. I just need to announce it and share the link. But it's over here. So this is a stash busted pattern because I used to have a lot of Lily Sugar and Cream to make crop tops and things like that. And now it's just like sitting around doing nothing since it's worsted weight. This is 3 strands of Lily Sugar and Cream held together in all different colors. So it's like oranges, and the base is always their rainbow. They had that rainbow Lily Sugar and Cream, but I mixed in different pinks and oranges and greens and yellows. So like stash busting.
That's so
Totally stash busting. And this was like an 18 millimeter hook, and it was only 3 strands. So that's what it looks like up close. So yeah, so
super cool.
stash busting is always fun. Let's see. Okay, we're about to be over time, so I don't want to keep you, but thank you so much for coming on. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of yours. I even have I have
yes, I love that one.
Shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts.
I know I had to wear I wore my Universe UFO one today, which it's funny because we talked about how you never know what's going to be popular, and like this design really didn't do all that well, but I love it so much. I don't care. I wanted to make it a reality. Now it's out there in the universe and I love it.
I like all of your designs. It's so hard.
Thank you. That means so much. It's been a crazy journey because I was never very what's the word for it? I was never very confident in my drawing skills ever. So like to be at a point now where I have so many designs out there, it's really cool to like look back and be like, yeah, you shouldn't doubt yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You
just have to go for it. And yeah, like you said, put yourself out there. You're always going to have, even when you first start out, you're going to have a small group of people that are going to, root for you and support you. And like, those are the people that you can lean on if you're, nervous about putting something out there in the world. But you got to find those people and then, stick with them to the end because, they'll continue to support you and push you to like try things and to put stuff out there. So it's super important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for coming on. I can't wait to hear how the Renaissance Fair goes. So definitely take pictures and share. And if you guys are not following Jessica here, please go give her a follow and check out all of her amazing patterns because they're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. And if you guys missed this, if you're dropping in late, this will be up on my page when this is over, so you can rewatch it here on Instagram, or you can find it over on my YouTube channel, which is it's the same thing. It's Pink Sheep Design. So youtube.com/Pink Sheep Design. And there is a whole playlist full of these wonderful chats, so you can make some new friends and discover some new designers, and have something to, you know, binge watch while you crochet. So I will talk to you guys all soon. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. And until next time, we'll see you later. Happy hooking, guys. Bye.